Back on the SportsMax zone, Jamaica's Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce closed out a fantastic 2021 season by winning the women's 100 meters at the Gala del Castile Bellinzona, a World Continental Tour silver meeting in Switzerland on Tuesday. Fraser-Pryce clocked 10.78 seconds to beat Merlene Otti's long-standing meet record of 10.95.
Set. And a clean start. She's going well in lane 3, Kambunji, but now she starts to accelerate and she's moving away. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, 10.78. She crushes the meet record. Fantastic run and a fantastic time. And she beats a fellow Jamaican great, Merlene Otti's meet record. It stood at 10.95. Absolutely obliterated. Fantastic run. Have a look at the start here from Kambunji. Through the pick-up phase, Fraser-Pryce just too strong. Intends to retire next year, she says.
Sheer class there. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce. Natoya Goule also won in Switzerland, taking the 800 meters, while Christopher Taylor had a podium finish in the men's 400 meters. But before we get to all of that, let's welcome Leighton Levy, senior writer at SportsMax.tv and our resident analyst, and start by discussing another fabulous Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce performance. Double L.
Yeah, outstanding performance. I mean, at the end of the season, when you consider that she's had 13 runs under 11 seconds this year, and I think about 9 under 10.8, it's fantastic, a fantastic performance and a great way to end the season for Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce. It's, you know, what can you say about the woman who many consider to be the greatest of all time?
Yeah, you know what? She will look back at her 2021 season and be satisfied with how fast she ran. But we know her pride and her tenacity. Having lost at the Tokyo Olympic Games, how do you think personally she would rank her season?
I think she'll be disappointed given that she didn't win the gold medal that so many people expected her to do in Tokyo this summer. But I don't think she'd be too disappointed with the fact that she did end up with a silver medal and beaten by a woman who ran the first, set a new Olympic record in the Lane Thompson era, somebody who's gone on to run 10.54 this season. You know, I think Shelly would probably put it into proper context and realize that she probably didn't think she ran her best race in Tokyo, but I don't think she'll complain too much having gone 10.60 this season, wishing perhaps that she would have been able to have done that in Tokyo.
Yeah, we saw Natasha Morrison there ending up 4th in that race. She has been prominent as a top sprinter coming out of Jamaica for several years now. How do you assess her growth, if you might call it that? Maybe personally she may think she could have been or should have been further ahead at this stage of her career than she is now?
One of the things that troubles me about Natasha Morrison is her inconsistency. Prior to this season, she had only run 10.8 to under 11 seconds once. She ran it 3 times this year, including a new personal best of 10.87. But then she goes off to the national championships and runs 11.1, I think it was, and finishes out of the frame. And then, you know, so she ends up on the relay squad. And then she runs a couple of meets. It runs a couple of 11.1s, 11 flat, I think was probably the fastest time that she ran after the Olympics. And again today, an 11.1 again. I think her problem has been her inability to be consistent. If she finds a way to be consistent, she will be among the top sprinters in the world, not just Jamaica.
Yeah.
Her problem is lack of consistency.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there, Leighton. Let's go now to the 800-meter run by Natoya Goule, and let's see what she delivered today on the track in Switzerland.
Natoya Goule rounding away, comes round the final bend and maintaining her form here. Meet record 1:58.10. It's going to be close. just outside, 1:58.22. That was a good attempt from Natoya. Never in any doubt where the wind was going. She knows she's close. Head down as she goes over the line. Just outside that meet record.
Leighton, several 156 clockings, 157 clockings so far this year already, but it's the back end of the season, and I'm pretty certain she'll be satisfied with the win and not be paying that much attention to the time.
No, the time has been pretty good. I mean, Natoya has been under 159 virtually almost every race this season, except for the first part of the season when she just came out on the track. The thing with her is that I think in terms of times, this has been probably her most consistent season. And in fact, I think she probably, looking back at the season, her biggest disappointment was not medaling in Tokyo. So for her, I think it's a step forward. And at 30, I think she still has a few good years in her as an 800-meter runner. But I think she's finally beginning to understand how to run the 800 meters. For her, I think it's still a learning process. And I think today she ran a pretty strong race, a pretty smart race, where she had a lot left in the end. Of course, as you can see, she stretched a quality field and won quite comfortably. If she can find a way to fix that and get that type of performance more consistent, she'll be a consistent 157, 156 runner, which will make her a medal contender at the World Championships in Oregon next year. But this was a very, very solid race for her, very mature performance, and a very strong one too.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember her Clemson Collegiate stint, Leighton, and
she won indoors, but she didn't win the outdoor title. She won the indoor title, coming from LSU, where she won the outdoor and indoor 800-meter titles. Yeah, and then I went to Clemson and won indoors, but didn't win outdoors.
Yeah, I'm saying that because as a junior, she had raced undefeated at the Carifta Games from 2005 to 2010, winning the 8:15 double every single Carifta Games she went to, and never lost a single race at the Carifta Games. Do you think there may have been any indecision on her part whether she would focus on the 15 or the 8, since she was just as successful as a junior going 15?
I think the 8 was always the event that she wanted to run. My guess is that having decided to run the 8, she didn't put the work in that she needed to put in. Run the miles that she needed to run each year, in preparation for the season. I think over the last 2 to 3 seasons, however, we've seen her develop a better understanding of what is required to be consistent and good at the elite level, where she's been running the distances, she's been improving her speed and her strength endurance, and it's beginning to pay off. So I think it's just a matter of her committing to what she needs to do to be able to, because there is no doubt about her talent. You don't run 156.15 and not be talented. And of course, 156.44 this year, which I think is her second fastest time ever. But she's been making improvements over the last 3 seasons, which has begun to bear fruit at the international level. So I think she just needs to do more work and work on a proper and consistent race strategy. And I think she'll find a success later on. I mean, the next 2 to 3 years, of course, there are major championships for the next 4 years. I think she'll eventually end up on the podium once somebody doesn't come along and does something ridiculously spectacular like 154 or 153. I think 155 is well within her reach. And if she's able to do that, she'll medal at a major championships eventually. This year, she won 2 meets this year. That her first Diamond League meet, and of course, the meet today. It's a step forward for her.
Yeah. All right. We want to check in quickly on the men's 400 and 100. Let's look at the men's 400 first, where Christopher Taylor, an Olympic finalist in Tokyo, was in the field.
Dobber has gone out really strongly here and will lead as they come off the bend. So Norwood has some work to do. And what a run this is from Dobber. Can he hold on? Back comes Norwood. It's going to be close. And Dobber, I think, gets there. Just ahead of Norwood. Just missed out by centimetres in the end. 45.28 to 45.31. So 3/100ths of a second separating these two. Chris Taylor coming through to take third, ahead of Haydock Wilson, 45.70 to 46.33. Fine racing there. And we have confirmation, 45.28.
Yes, so Chris Taylor, 45.70 for third there. Had a couple of sub-45 clockings in Tokyo. Leighton, closing off the back end of his season here. Your assessment of how he has done this year?
It's a step forward for Christopher Taylor. If you remember when he left Jamaica to go to Tumbleweed, he was in bad shape. Lots of injuries. In fact, there didn't hold out much hope for his progress, given the number of injuries that he had. In fact, they had actually considered surgery for a couple of the injuries that he had. However, they decided against that and, of course, worked to get him in shape and, of course, get him on the circuit. And we saw gradually this season he's gotten better and better, but he's still a long way off from being living up to the potential that I think he has, where, a consistent 44 mid-runner that I think he can be. 44.7 at the Olympics suggests that he's closer than he was last year, but I think he's still some way off. I think at the end, but during the course of next season, I think we'll see a more consistent sub-45 Christopher Taylor. And I think over the next 2 to 3 seasons, we'll see the best of him. I think coming back from injury and the nature of the injury that he had in 2020, this is a major step forward to him, but he still has some way to go.
Yeah, 44.79 and 44.92 in Tokyo he went. The men's 100 now, we saw Andre de Grasse competing there, along with the veteran Justin Gatlin. Let's have a look at that, Leighton, and get your thoughts on Mr. Gatlin and the rest of the field.
Well, this time they do get away. It's a good start for Nigel Ellis. Gatlin is starting to move, but he's being hunted down by Curly, and there in lane 5 comes Andre de Grasse. Left it late and showed his pedigree. It looked as though it was going to be a 2-horse race between Gatlin and Curly, and through came the Canadian. Curly trying to hang on, Gatlin working hard to stay on terms. It's a third place.
Yeah, so de Grasse getting the win there. Pretty tidy performance by him, 10.06 over Fred Curly, 10.11. Gatlin 10.13, the veteran. Nigel Ellis, the Jamaican, 10.22 in fourth spot. De Grasse is enjoying himself. He was a champion in Tokyo, over 200. But overall, his body language is suggesting, Leighton, that he has enjoyed this 2021 campaign.
Absolutely, and he's emerging as the elite sprinter that Puma assumed that he would have been. If you remember when he signed that contract back in, I think it was, he was supposed to be the man to replace Usain Bolt as the best sprinter in the world. And he's had his troubles with injury and, of course, illness. But this season, we've seen him step forward and, of course, claim his place among the elites, as he should, because he is extremely talented. His problem, however, is that he still has some kinks, I believe, to work on in his, especially the 100 meters, where the first half of his race, he's behind the field. Eventually, when the likes of a Coleman comes back, he's going to have to be able to be a lot closer at 50 to be able to stay in touch. Mm-hmm. But as of right now, he's the best sprinter in the world in my mind, because 200-meter title at the Olympics and, of course, medal in the 100 meters, 10.89, suggests that Andre de Grasse is on his way up. And he still has some room to grow, and I think we'll see that even better from him next year. Yeah, because his confidence is where it's supposed to be.
And in 15 seconds, Leighton, we've got to wrap this part of the track and field discussion now. But Gatlin, 39 years old, he'll be 40 in February. Should he quit now?
Well, word is that this is going to be his last meet. I reached out to his agent, Ronaldo Niemeyer, left a message, but he hasn't responded. But, I mean, Justin Gatlin, what can you say? I mean, despite the clouds that hung over his head and in his career, the last part of his career, he has been an outstanding sprinter, and he's been such a standout consistently stand out in his performances. And, you know, if he goes now, it will be an end of a very successful career, notwithstanding the challenges with, you know, the drug issues and everything. But, you know, he can walk away with his head held high.
Yeah, we're still sticking with Leighton. Stay with us on the SportsMax Zone after the break. We're continuing to discuss track and field, but we're switching to Zagreb, Croatia, where a big 200-meter clash occurred between Jamaica's Shericka Jackson and the controversial World Under-20 record holder Christine Mboma. Back in a moment.